I'm really not cool with when agencies don't give access to the accounts. It's like you telling me that you're gonna do like an outsourced sales product for me. Like, oh, just give me all your leads and I'll do the sales. Except no, you're not allowed in your CRM. And if you ever leave me, I'm gonna take your CRM and all the data with me and you're gonna be left with nothing. If you got me to like agree to that because I'm stupid, you would have me basically in like a chokehold to continue working with your company to do the sales because...
Welcome and thank you for joining us for today's episode of Disruptors, where millionaires are made. Today we got Brandon Bateman with Bateman Collective, and Brandon flew in from Salt Lake to talk about how investors are using AI to double their deal flow. Now, guys, I'm on a mission to create 100 millionaires. The information on the show alone is enough to help you become a millionaire in the next 5 to 7 years. If you'll take consistent action, you'll become one. If you're already a millionaire, we want to recognize you. So please scan the QR code on that screen to let us know so that we can highlight you. And if you want more help to become a millionaire faster, you can scan that same QR code as well. Before we jump in, if you're here to learn how real entrepreneurs are building real empires, hit that subscribe button because every week we're dropping lessons that can create your first or your next million. And today's show is brought to you by Objection-Proof AI. If you're ready to turn your existing sales team into a self-managing sales team, go to objectionproof.ai. Ready?
Ready.
All right. So it's been a little bit since you've been on. You were here and you generously provided, I want to say, a 4 or 5 episode series talking about really how to nerd out and geek out and like get really good at PPC. Yeah,
you were patient. I think we recorded for like 3 or 4 hours. Like this is not like we did like a podcast that's basically like a course on PPC, more of a training, right? Talking about like the why behind it, not just like press this button, press that button. Yeah. So yeah, that was cool. So if anybody's listening and you haven't seen that and you're a nerd, you might like it. If you're not a nerd, it might sound like 4 hours of nerdy stuff that you're not very interested in.
But I think it's, if nothing else, like it helps you become a savvy, educated buyer. Right? Like if you want to be able to like quiz someone to see like they actually know what they're talking about, like that's the one to check out. I mean, again, like I've said this before, I'll say it again. Like the reason why I've trusted you is that you could answer my questions after I did my own PPC for years. And then actually we held an interview with a candidate a couple weeks back who was the sales director of that company that I had interviewed back in the day. I was like, hey, I just want to let you know, I was a ready and willing buyer. I needed to find a company that I could pay, right, to do my PPC. And your sales guys couldn't answer a single question of mine. To which you said, yeah, unfortunately, at that company, our owner did not want our salespeople to know things because they thought it would hinder the sales. Like, well, hinder that sale.
Sure.
So, and there's pros and cons, right? Anyway, so again, the reason why I have you here and the reason why we're recommending that old series is that lots of good stuff to nerd out on. But at the same time, there have been some changes.
Sure.
And we'll talk about it later on. But, one of the things that I'm hearing more and more, you go to these masterminds, hearing more people saying like, hey, I got this deal because someone went to ChatGPT and asked a question. And then my company came up and it wasn't, the 70-year-old person that needed to sell their house.
Sure.
It was their grandkid. I was helping grandma sell their house. Right. So we'll dive into that later on. But let's talk about like, what are some of the things that we've seen in the last year or so you've seen as far as like PPC and marketing and what's going on?
Yeah, it's been an interesting year, like every year is. And I was reflecting a little bit on this, just coming to, just on the plane ride here. It's been 5 years, I want to say, since we did our first podcast episode together. And we've done, I think this is our 5th, with the exception of last year, which was like 4 and 1, right?
Right.
So yeah, I've thought a lot about all the things that have changed. And it's funny because a lot of things are different and a lot of things are just like the same thing that's happening. I mean, for me, it's been a massive change because my business has just grown over those years, right? So I have... like my life looks completely different now than it did when we first met. But as far as marketing goes, there's some things that have been really consistent and others that have changed. One of the things that's been really consistent over those years is that SEO and PPC are pretty good channels. There's something pretty interesting though that I've noticed. So back then when you and I first met, a lot of our clients would come to us saying like, look, I just want to do like online marketing, because they weren't like super savvy about like the different channels and how they work, right? So we would do like SEO, and we would do PPC, and we would do ads on social for them. And then over time, we became kind of known as like the company that does PPC, right? And we have more and more clients doing that. But we still have so many of these clients that we've worked with for now 5 years or more that we did SEO for. And we've done some SEO along the years too. And what's been especially apparent to me recently is how powerful it is to have that strategy on multiple of those channels. We did a survey across the industry recently, and we asked every real estate investor in every market to complete this to the best that we could. We got a lot of people responding to this survey, and they gave us all the data of how much money are you spending on these different marketing channels? What kind of returns are you getting? Even stuff like what's the profitability of your company, and what kind of spreads do you make from different exits? And something that I found that was really interesting is, as of right now, the number one marketing channel, according to our survey of real estate investors, is Google PPC. And it's like 30-something% of the total marketing budget.
Wow.
Also really interesting, way at the bottom of the list that people are investing in. So there's an average. The average investor that filled out our survey, they're spending about $28,000 a month on marketing. About 2% of that is going towards SEO. Right. In the industry. Right. And Steve, you're a pretty smart guy, right? I'm assuming you know that when somebody searches on Google, it's not that for every 35 leads that click on the paid ads, there's 2 that go to the organic results. There's a lot more than that go to the organic results, right? So if I were to talk about like a trend that I'm seeing, PPC is good. It's been consistently good over the years. We have ups and downs for every client. But if we look at our macro level numbers, they're good. And actually now they're the lowest the cost per contract is the lowest it's been all year this year, which is good. It's a positive trend. And SEO has continued to be a really strong performer over all this time. And our clients have been doing that consistently for a long time, are grateful for it too. And what I'm seeing is the number of leads available in the industry from that channel compared to the amount of money being spent on them is really, really high. So it's
more people spending right now on PPC than ever before.
So the data that I pulled, we just have one snapshot, right? We just did this survey this one time. I wish I've done this survey for the past 5 years, right? So I can see how it's changing over time. But what I can tell you is anecdotally, I believe that there's more spent on PPC now than there was before. Even based on like cold call, I don't know, what percentage of marketing spend today do you think is going towards cold call for
marketing
investors?
Spend? Yeah. Man, not a whole lot. Less than, on average, probably less than 10%, maybe less than 5%.
Yeah, 3%. Yeah. So you're not far off at all. And that actually was surprising to me, because I bet you that statistic as of years ago would have been a significantly higher number, a higher percentage. And people are really dialing down on the cold call. And it's the inbound channels that are taking it up, right? So the number one, or the top 4 channels right now are PPC, PPL, TV, and direct mail.
Yeah. Well, I guess for me, the reason why it doesn't surprise me is because you can't spend that much money on cold calling.
That's fair. And SEO is a little bit like that too.
With cold calling, like you pull a list, right? You get it monthly, weekly, quarterly, whatever. And it's a good amount of money, right? But you take that and you cold call, and then I guess you spend money on like cold callers and phone systems and this and that. But like,
it adds up. Because what I will tell you though is, like, you would assume it's just cheap and you get a great return. Cold call returns came in lower than any inbound channel that we measured over the past year.
Interesting.
Despite it being really cheap. Cold text actually was doing well, but I don't know if lawsuits are factored in to the total marketing spend.
I'm surprised though, because like cold calling, the reason why you do it is it's the highest ROI. It's just the labor is hidden, right? Like the actual managing cold callers. Making sure they're on the phones, making sure they're having the conversations, and then making sure the lead managers are working, because your lead managers have to work at least twice as hard.
Sure.
On a cold calling business than they do in any other inbound channel.
Yeah, the whole idea is it's a huge pain in the butt, but it's cheap, so it's worth it. And like I used to, so we have people calling us that are just like not quite ready for PPC yet. Right? If they just want to spend like a few $1,000s a month on marketing, and all day I would just send those people to cold call, just say, just go do this and you know, get some deals, get some cash flow, and then you can level up, you can move into channels like this. And when I saw that data, it kind of shook me a little bit, because that's not true anymore. Like actually cold call on average is producing a lower return on investment than inbound channels are.
ROI on cold call?
I can pull it up.
Yeah.
Like Let me see what the exact numbers are.
And like as we're going through this, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
just for reference, like how many people fill out the survey?
70
people.
investors.
Yeah.
So I have the data here. So one thing I will tell you before we get into like the specific numbers is another thing that shocked me is that these numbers in general from a return on investment are just lower than what I thought. Because you hear people all the time talking about the 5x return, the 8x return, the 10x return. And what I learned is that the average real estate investor is spending about 35% of their revenue on marketing right now, which to me was a shock because of like how many clients come into us with this standard of like, I must get 7 or 8x or whatever it is. And in general, it's not quite that high.
It's
so
3x.
3x is about the average, right?
Yeah.
And if you're going to hit 3x on average, sometimes like your best channels are going to have to perform better than that, and your worst channels are going to have to perform worse than that, right? You can't have like your peak performance be 3x because then all the channels you test that don't work and everything will drag it down.
Yeah.
But cold call is about a 2.25x.
Really?
Is what it came in.
I'm wondering. This is like the people you have reach might be further along in their journey, and so. Like if you were to ask doctors, you know, what kind of car do you drive? There's not going to be a lot of like Hyundais in there.
Sure.
Right? Like you're going to hear like Lexus, BMW, Mercedes kind of deal. All right. So I'm wondering like if it's skewed a little bit only because of the people you attract, right? Because the people that you attract are going to be larger deal volume, larger budgets. And if that's the case, you're probably not good at cold calling. Like it's just being good at inbound, getting good at outbound are two different avatars. That's
a super fair point that there could be some skew in like where the data came from.
Yeah.
And some of it's our clients, most of it's not our clients, but they're in our sphere somewhere, right? And the fact that they're in our sphere somewhere,
sure.
And we were able to reach them, many of them through partners and stuff like that like maybe they don't work with us or something. Yeah. But that it could skew towards people who are more inbound naturally.
And it's not to discount this data. I'm just trying to make sense of it.
Yeah, it's one possible explanation because I'm shocked by the 3%.
Yeah, no, it's like
if you're gonna really, really low.
If you're gonna do it, you got to get 5x at least.
Oh yeah,
right.
And I think that's why
to be worth the labor involved, because like it's brain damage. Managing the cold callers and then the lead managers on top of the cold callers. Yeah.
And I can tell you the business for me has changed a lot over the years too, because at the beginning, it felt like everybody we talked to was like, I'm sick of cold calling. I'm sick of the brain damage. Please get me some better leads. And now everybody we talk to is like, I'm sick of pay per lead. I'm sick of the brain damage. Please give me some more leads. It's interesting because we like our messaging used to be like, don't cold call, like do PPC instead. And now we're like, don't cold call, and everybody's like, we don't actually cold call. Why are you even saying that? Because they're doing much less of it now than they used to. But the game has just shifted, right? Because now pay per lead, there's a lot more of that.
There's a lot of pay per lead companies.
Yeah, now there's a lot of people we work with that have been through like 5 PPC agencies, and they're sick of PPC, but they're hoping to find a way to do it better. So it's not just like moving from cold call to inbound anymore.
The agency model is interesting. So like. We'll talk about it later on, but like, you know, we had Drew Carroll here with LeadZolo.
Cool.
And before LeadZolo, he ran a marketing agency, like just like information marketers, right? And I had him do a little rant, you know, towards the end. I was like, all right, let's pretend we're able to transport you back into those days, but they're not your clients anymore. Like, what would you say? And it was a fantastic rant.
That's funny. I'm so curious what he said.
Yeah. But basically it's like, you know, it's not the marketing, right? Like you actually need to make a good product.
Sure.
Right, because like most marketing agencies, like, you know, in the information space, they don't really sell great products, because if they have great products, you don't spend as much on marketing to get it out there.
Sure. Yeah.
And to that point, like we have a guy on our team who, prior to working for us, sold visas to go from Africa to Europe, because the way it works is once you get into Europe, like they don't kick you out.
Oh, interesting.
So like that's what he saw. Is like, I don't feel good selling this, right? So it's like, anyway. So yeah, agency is just a tough model because it's your fault no matter what. Like no matter what happens, it's the agency's fault.
That's true. Yeah.
Right? So it's a tough business. Like true or not, it feels true to the client.
Sure.
Yeah. So
and to us too, because while we could all every day we could say, it's never our fault. Like we try to have a culture of ownership too, where every single thing we look at, maybe there's factors outside of our control, but just like Stephen Covey says, you have your circle of influence and you have your circle of control, and you just focus on that circle of control, and the circle of influence will come around. But there are a lot. Sometimes it feels like the circle of control is a little smaller and the circle of influence is really, really big, right? So that's a battle of an agency for sure.
Right. So anyway, going back to you're saying so there's just more and more people looking at PPL now. So your competition is not necessarily cold calling, but more PPL.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you doing to combat that?
Well, it's interesting because the industry goes through waves, right? Like something that we saw. So we've actually done some pretty in-depth studies, and one way that we do this is we measure how many people are searching for different things on Google over time to measure product interest, right? So I can show you
that, right? Like no, I don't think there are a lot of people that do that. That's
no,
awesome.
It's like a weird like PPC nerd kind of perspective on market share, right? Because the idea is when something's more popular, there's more people searching for it on Google. That's a reflection of like the brand awareness or the number of people that use it, right? So I made
where the attention is going. And if you know where it's Wayne Gretzky's quote, right? Like, don't tell me where the puck is, tell me where the puck's going.
Yeah.
I know where the puck's going.
Yeah, exactly. So what we did is we like mapped out on there how are things changing over time, like investors looking for PPC services, investors looking for PPL, specific PPL companies, all that stuff. And what we saw is last year, we started losing a lot more deals to PPL, and PPL was booming. And then this year, the sentiment, this is another side. This is like AI insights from all of our sales calls that are recorded, is everybody like they boomed on it and everybody was excited about it. And what happens to PPL when their supply of leads stays relatively static, but the demand for leads goes up? Well, they either have to get expensive or they have to get bad. There's kind of no other way to deal with that problem unless you can just create more supply on demand, which usually people can't do, at least linearly, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, there was a big boom in pay per lead last year, and now the general sentiment is a lot of people feel pretty like burned from pay per lead.
Yeah, and
they're shifting more towards PPC for sure. And it goes back and forth. Like everybody,
flow, right? I mean, we talk about like, is it laissez-faire, right? Like the market is free hand, something like that. I'm totally butchering it, but like the money will go where it's supposed to go.
Yeah.
So if all the money's going there, now it's a problem. Well, the money will go away.
Sure. Capitalism is not perfect, but it's the best we got. And it's definitely good at that, right? Yeah. People will spend the money where it's good. The thing that's crazy about real estate investment is because like people have so much influence in the real estate investment game, it feels like more so than other markets, everybody follows one thing and then everybody follows the other thing. And in some ways they get burned by it because the thing gets worse when they all go there. Yeah. And then it's kind of like, the concept with the stock market of when everybody's getting out.
Stock picker.
Yeah. When everybody's leaving, that's when you go in. And when everybody's going in, that's when you might want to leave.
Yeah.
It's very normal, but we're not wired like that.
We're not. We're wired to follow for safety. But yeah, like if you were to buy everything Warren Buffett buys like 3 months later and sell everything he sells 3 months later, you're kind of screwed.
Sure. Yeah, like he did it when he did it for a reason, and it doesn't mean you can just copy him later.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally agreed.
Okay, so it ebbed out, like the water kind of flowed out, and now it's flowing back in, so you're getting more and more interest now in PPC.
Yeah, and it never like went down necessarily. Like we've never had like a down year as a company or anything like that. But yeah, we definitely see the amount of interest for one thing versus the next.
You see the sentiment changing.
Yeah, it changes, right? Sometimes the game gets a little harder for us. Sometimes it gets a little easier for us. And the problems change, right? If everybody goes towards PPC, then PPC gets more expensive, and now it's harder to get results. And this stuff even happens on like a per market basis, right? So it's a wild world of real estate. Like everything's always changing out there, and I'm a firm believer that consistent people create consistent businesses, right? Yeah. So that's what I've always done, is just stay really consistent with what we're doing. Like things are good, okay, we're working hard to get better. Things are bad, okay, we're working hard to get better. Like there's no metric you can show me in my business that changes what I'm going to do. I'm just going to keep on getting better every single day. And that's the strategy.
And on top of that, I'm seeing more and more PPC providers out there.
Sure. Yeah. There's always been a lot, but it feels like there's even more recently.
Well, I have definitely more reaching out to me like, hey, you want to affiliate yourself? I was like, well, it's kind of complicated.
Yeah.
So what's going on there? Like, what are you doing to prepare for what it seems like this steady onslaught of more and more people like wanting to jump in there?
Yeah. And it's still like, I'll say the same thing I said like 20 seconds ago. Like, okay, things are tough. we'll just get better. Things are good. We'll just get better. Like we've always seen like, so my focus for especially like the past 2 years, this is going to sound like super cheesy. It's like one of those things that you like read in a book and you're like, okay, whatever, that's not real life. And then you actually do it. But the huge focus, this is the thing that we push internally, is we're just looking for a win-win-win, right? What that means is first a win for the client, second, a win for the employee, third, a win for the company, right? And if we can find those things that we can do that produce all of those, then all parties are benefiting. And through focusing on that, like now my employees are paid more than ever. My clients are getting better results than ever. The company is doing better than ever. And it's just because like the same thing. It's like if you're just always training harder than anyone else, then they can't in theory catch up to you, right? It's if we start to rest, if we start to lose our focus on being obsessed with getting really great results for our clients, that's where I would be concerned.
So let's talk about the last year. What you say, all right, just get better, right? And it's kind of like Jocko Willink has this great video, right? Good. Something bad happens? Good. Now we can do this. So what are those things you're saying that get better, which is a great motto? What have you done to get better in the last year?
There's so many things, and some of them are like internal stuff that probably nobody here like cares about, and others of those are really important. Let me start from a leadership standpoint.
Yeah.
And then we can talk like more specific ads and stuff. I can tell you a really big shift that we've had from the standpoint of leadership is, for a while, I was just scared to really build out the team that you need in the company. And I think a lot of it came down to the fact that we never had like a CFO. We never had somebody who like understands financial models, understands how like these different things benefit. So what's been happening like slowly over time is we've just been leveling up the leadership team. And I can tell you from my experience, it's been really, really impactful to bring in people who have historically done what we want to accomplish and have them do it for us. And like, I don't know why I didn't do that before. Mostly because those people are just really, really expensive. And now we've learned that like, oh, but they only have to do this much better for them to pay for themselves. And it's super worth it. So I'd say just like leveling up the team is really important. Like just little examples of this is like on a quarterly basis, we will rank everybody on the team as an A player, B player, C player, D player, E player, or I'm sorry, F player, right? And S and Ds are easy. Like you just move them out. C's are where it's really tough, right? And when I first started doing this, I realized like we have more C's than we want to have on the team, and we just have to move them up or out really quick, right? So we start this rule where like you can't report that someone's a C player like 2 times in a row. Like you're going to level them up, which that's the preferred thing, right? That's better for the employee, it's better for the company, or they have to move out of the company, and those are the only options, right? So we've been kind of like we've been focusing a lot more on that and bringing even better people in, and it's kind of blown my mind in terms of like the kind of people we can have in the company, the kind of culture we can have in the company. So that's one thing. As far as ads go and SEO and all that kind of stuff, it's really just this game of always testing. Like I feel like marketers are generally pretty reactive. The way that they work is they say, oh, you know what? We got 15 leads this week, Mr. Client. And then next week the client says, oh no, we got 10 leads this week. What happened? Oh, our conversion rate went down. What are we going to do? Okay, let's launch a landing page test, right? And they keep on playing this game just over and over again where they're just reacting to the data. Instead of saying like, oh, our conversion rate's 35%, great, let's launch a landing page test. Our conversion rate's 2%, great, let's launch a landing page test. That's kind of been our strategy, is just always be improving all the time. It doesn't matter what the metrics say necessarily. That could be indicative of a constraint, but just being really objective. And this is something that we've done pretty well over, I can tell you, it's been more than 5 years, Steve, since we spent $1 that wasn't on some type of split test. Like, and you'll talk to agencies that are like, oh, we don't test for our clients because then we give them unproven things. But what they don't realize is like, that's the game. It's just always be testing, always be moving. You don't have to spend all your budget on it. And you can also test amongst multiple things that are good, right? Multiple things that are working across markets to see what's going to work best in that market. But that's like our KPI. Like that data that you get from those tests is like the currency of getting better. And we're just constantly doing it.
We had an ops manager we let go. And we have a guy in marketing. His complaint about our marketing guy, who's internal, is that he's constantly testing. Like, we can't have this many tests going on at the same time. Like, at what point do we settle? It's like, all right, we're good. That was his complaint. I was like, usually the challenge is to get the guys to test more.
Sure. And you got to be careful about what you test and stuff. I can tell you a lot of our clients want to test more than you probably should, in the sense that they'll launch a landing page test and we'll look at it and we'll be like, okay, this is probably going to take like 9 months to get enough data to know that like version A works better than version B. And then a month later, they're like, forget it. I want to do this different thing. And they just start a bunch of tests that they never actually finish.
Definitely, we don't want to do that.
That's bad, right? But if you do it right, there's like if you don't know how to do it right, like just take like a statistics 101 course. Like it's not that hard. However, people just violate the rules of statistics like every day, and that's why they aren't good at testing.
So I would say like Ben on our team, he's consistently testing. So we have like 60 to 70%. That's like, all right, this is like the, what do you call it? The control case.
Sure.
Right. And then 30 to 40% new ads. Right. Let's 30% of our budget, test new ads, see if we can beat the control. 30% of the budget, test, see if we can beat the control. Control doesn't change until it's beaten.
Sure.
Then that's the new control.
And then you have a new control. Exactly. And that's the game. And it's a pretty simple concept, but it's one of those things. It's just like the disciplined action of just doing that consistently is hard.
Like it's completely reasonable and rational.
Sure.
And normal. Right? From your world. We don't see this in the real estate investing world.
Yeah. I have a hypothesis for why.
Go for it.
I could tell you testing in real estate investment is really, really hard. The reason it's hard, like how many businesses do you know out there that could have like 5 customers a month and be killing it? There's not very many, but like 5 customers a month is like a pretty decent real estate investment business. Like that's a 7-figure real estate investment business with the average deal spreads. And so what happens is you just don't have that much data flowing through the business, and the market's always shifting and stuff like that. So it's, I think, just a really hard business to do tests in because you don't have enough data to see it through.
Yeah. I hate, sorry if this offends anybody, I hate the advertising in our business, in the real estate business.
Sure.
Like we talk about it all the time, like, and I'm definitely, what's the word I'm looking for? I run counter. What's the word I'm looking for? Like I'm very different in philosophies as far as like how to have a conversation. Like, a lot of business owners like, how many offers did you make? How many offers did you make? How many offers did you make? That's one of the KPIs. How many offers did you make? And I'm the one like, don't make any offers, right? Either they're selling their house to us or they're not, right? And so and I shared this with you before, right? The problem that is that the advertising says we'll give you a cash offer in 7 hours less, 24 hours less, or whatever. It's like, well, stop saying we'll make offers. Like, we can pay a fair price. We can pay cash. And, I'll say things like, we can put cash in your hands in as little as 24 hours.
Sure.
Right? Like, because what do they want? Cash. Like, we'll give you cash. Like, that's not an issue.
Yeah.
It's not going to be all the cash, but we'll put cash in your hands, right? Which is like solves a lot of their problems. And so like the message of like get a cash offer for me doesn't solve their problem.
It's like it's the in between. It's the thing that in theory could get them there, but you're telling them,
right,
we'll give you food instead of we'll make sure you're full. Yeah,
it was like, we wouldn't measure someone's golf game by like how many times did they get drove it and landed in the fairway.
Sure.
We wouldn't like how many fairway shots did you hit today? It's like, no, what was your score?
Yeah.
Right. So like, why is it?
Yeah, it's a fair point.
We only measure this thing, which the homeowner doesn't care about. They don't want a cash offer. They want you to solve their problem.
Yeah, that's a super fair point. And I want to say we tested that too, because you and I had a conversation.
We had a conversation about it. I don't know if you tested it.
Yeah.
We had a conversation about
it. We probably did. We have so many tests. I just don't remember like the outcome of it. I could look it up in our system because we like log all of them and what the outcome was. But that's an interesting concept for sure.
Yeah. I mean, like I helped a client rewrite a commercial using a VSL format, right? A video sales letter format, right? Hitting the points of like, like talking about, when we come over, we can share with you how you can, A, B, and C, like talk about the outcome that they want, right? And we can figure out how to do that in our meeting versus like come over and make a cash offer. So we wrote a whole like 30-second commercial or 60-second commercial. He never ran it, right? Because like he was afraid, like if I do this other ad and I'm spending $10,000-$15,000, like what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Right. There's a fear component behind it.
There is, and part of it, I mean, that's part of why I like what we do, because like the the fact that there's not that much data in the industry, you can get past that if you can test things in bulk across a bunch of different markets, which is what we do mostly.
Yeah.
So instead of saying like, Mr. Client, here's your landing page and we're going to test this instead. And here's like the typical way an agency would work is you say, here's the wireframe for the new one. How do you like this? Okay, let's like now do the design. How do you like that? Okay, now let's run it side by side and test. And like 9 months later, you finally know what works better, what doesn't. We just change stuff across all of our clients' landing pages at once. And I can press a button, change one thing across 200 landing pages. And then in 2 days, get enough split test data to know, does version A or does version B work better? And I much prefer that form of testing because I can do like 50 split tests by the time you can do one split test.
Right.
And we just move forward way faster. But if you're just if you're alone and you just have all your budget that you're putting towards this thing, it's a harder position to be in.
Yeah,
for
I think you have to be crazy like me because that's what I would do.
Yeah, and if any industry has a few reckless people in it, let it be real estate investing. You guys are a little bit crazy, right? I've never seen a group of people so willing to just start over at any given moment,
over and over again.
Yeah, over and over again. It's actually like if I was going to go on my rant about the industry and like Drew Carroll style, it's like, you know what? Consistent people produce consistent businesses. If your business isn't consistent, look in the mirror, and maybe if you were more consistent with what you do in the business, then the business would be more consistent.
Right.
That's it.
Not wrong. Okay, what else are you doing? Or is there anything else that you can think of that jumps out at you that you guys got done to get better, right? Again, because you have, what do you call it at the wall? It's not the enemy at the wall. What's it? But, there are people coming for you, right, at all times. What else have you done to get better? If you're a real estate investor tired of using a clunky CRM, check out Carrot CRM, previously known as InvestReviews. Carrot CRM's action-based system makes it super easy to use, and it works especially well for acquisition teams with features like weighted lead routing and advanced KPIs. Or if you're a newer investor, they also have a lightweight version that's still powerful and doesn't break the bank. Plus, they rolled out new powerful AI tools like the autonomous lead manager that follows up for you. The Carrot team makes switching super easy, and it plays well with all your other tools. Whether you're running solo or have a large team, check it out and schedule a demo at carrot.com/Trang. That's TRANG.
I think one thing that we've really doubled down on is the AI side of Google Ads. This is something where if anybody here is listening to this and has also listened to all of our previous podcasts, which if you have, I'm sorry, because you've listened to me for like probably at least 6 hours in your life, and that's just too much.
Right.
But anyways, if you've listened to all that, then you'll know this sounds similar to what I've said in previous episodes. And it's this idea that where a lot of people are going wrong with Google Ads is their targeting. They're not finding the right true motivated sellers. And what it comes down to is Google doesn't understand the difference between a seller and a motivated seller. And you and I know that 98% of sellers are just sellers, right? And 2% of sellers are motivated sellers. And the problem is that motivated seller to Google might look basically the same as the seller. And those 2% get grouped in with the 98%. Then you start to generate leads and you're just going to end up with the 98% and the 2% kind of mixed in there instead of just the 2%, which is what you care about.
Right.
So that's the problem. And how do you get past that problem? Well, Google, it's kind of evolved over time, right? At the beginning, you probably remember, this is back when you were running PPC, like the old manual CPC days when you would say like, like picking stocks manually, you basically say like, I think this one's going to be good. I'm going to go after this keyword and I'm going to bid more there. And that worked to some extent. The problem is I actually have like a full database showing everything. So we generated at this point over $200 million in revenue for our clients. I have a list of what did the person type into Google and then was it a part of that revenue or not? How big was the deal spread from that? And what's the likelihood that it turned into a deal? And you'd be surprised. Like some of the like things that we think as marketers, because the standard way that people would set it up is like, well, sell my house, that's more retail. I'm going to bid less on that. Sell my house fast. Well, that's good. Let me bid more on that because the word fast means it's a better lead. Right. Which it's actually not, by the way, based on our data. And you could do that for every little keyword, everything you could do. And then we kind of set up this ivory tower marketing campaign where like I'm the marketer and I know everything about what's good and I've decided to target like this. And then over time, Google's shifted. So they released these bid strategies called automated bid strategies. People don't like them because the word automated is in them. And automated implies my agency is not working hard on my behalf. They like manual. Like they want to pay the portfolio manager who's like picking stocks.
They want you to work for your money.
Yeah, exactly. So, and at the beginning, these strategies were like really bad. These are all AI strategies, by the way. And Google's been at this for, I don't even know how many years they've had the automated strategies.
Mm-hmm.
I know they only really started to get good around 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to that, they were not quite as good. And what the difference is the manual strategies are basically me saying, as myself an ivory tower marketer, saying, this is what I think is good. The automated strategies start to include a lot more data points because Google has all this data on individual users that we just don't have otherwise, right? They know the little things, like, and they don't tell you everything they know.
The little things.
and the big things, right?
They know all the things.
They know all the things. Like I'll give you a classic example of something you don't target by in Google, but Google knows this, is did they visit uhaul.com yesterday? Right? And are they more likely or not to be a motivated seller if they visited uhaul.com? Maybe a little bit more likely, right? And Google knows all of that stuff. So these automated bid strategies, they're AI-based strategies that look at tens of thousands of data points that Google has on each user, and it predicts the likelihood of this person completing a conversion event in your ad account, right? And those, basically what happened with those is at first they were really bad. And then some of the biggest advertisers out there started to realize, wait, these things actually work really well, right? So they start to tell people like these bid strategies are actually working really well. And then like the standard people out there are all saying, I don't know what those people are talking about. It's not working well for me. And the difference was these machine learning algorithms, like picture like OpenAI's model, like if OpenAI's model is the exact same model it is, but it didn't have all the training data that it has, how smart would it be?
Not smart at all.
It would be just a really dumb algorithm that like has so much potential, but it's just dumb because it hasn't learned everything yet.
Not enough training data.
No training data, right? So these automated bid strategies, they're really smart. They have all those data points that are predictive, but if they don't know the outcome that you care about, then they don't know how to connect it. They don't know how to connect it, and if they don't have a lot of that data. So what we've been leaning into, and you heard me say this like 5 years ago, what we've been leaning into is there's this concept. Everybody knows this is true, that if you have more spend, you get better results on Google PPC, right? And everybody like knows that's true. But what people get it wrong is they misunderstand why that's true. They assume that more spend equals like I get maybe like a bulk discount with Google. Maybe with more spend, they value me more as a client. They give the good leads to the people who spend more, and then they give the bad leads to the people who spend less.
Interesting.
This is the kind of stuff that people assume. But the reality is more spend equals more data. More data equals better results. Right. And then what we've been doing for 5 years is trying to figure out how can we if we know that more data equals better results, how can we make it true that even if somebody's not the biggest investor in their market, not the biggest investor in the United States, how can they have more data than their competition, even if they don't have more spend than their competition? Right. So it can still be true that more data equals better results. So that's basically the game of what we do. It's better quality data and more data. The more data is we're aggregating this data across all of our clients, and we're training this really advanced AI algorithm that Google has based on all this data so it can get smarter and smarter.
No, it's interesting, and I don't mean to hijack your conversation here, but like, we're building our own AI tool out. I was looking at it as of yesterday. We crossed the barrier of 100,000 call reviews.
That's a lot of call reviews. That's insane.
A lot of call reviews. Yeah. So, data, better data, more stuff to train the data, find out what works, what doesn't work. So
yeah, that's the big thing. And then the other big thing is like better quality data there, and that just comes down to like the discipline that we've had for years of just tracking for each and every lead, what ends up happening with that lead. And then we're optimizing campaigns for what's generating deals and what's generating revenue, not just what's generating leads. And that's the disconnection point where most agencies can't make it work.
So there's two different things. And we talked about this before, but we're going to just rehash it real quick. So there's the automated bid strategy, right? So using all the data points about that human being, right? Because they're watching what websites you're visiting. They're watching what YouTube videos you're watching, and they're watching your emails. Yeah.
And if you doubt me, there's a Chrome extension you can get that will check like what scripts are on different websites. And you go to almost any website in the world, and what are you going to find? You're going to find Google Analytics, and that's where Google gets so much data from.
Yeah. So Google knows everything about you, and on top of that, you also feed it like what a win looks like.
Yes. So we can differentiate that 2% of the market from that 98%.
Right. So you think we talked about lead sculpting before, but you want to just highlight real quick what lead sculpting is, kind of how it all blends together.
Yeah. And this is, so there's different techniques for this, right? This is where like actually the way we're doing this has evolved a ton in the past year. But probably not like if anybody listened to me a year ago, they might not actually recognize how it's changed because it's like some of the like nitty gritty of how these concepts are applied has changed. But the idea of lead sculpting is, again, it's this concept of we want to get better quality feedback to Google. So where someone would typically say, I'm getting a lead on my website when somebody fills out the form, what we like to do is we look at how they fill out the form. And there's different things we're looking for, like even down to the level of we'll like scrub the phone number, make sure it's valid. We'll look at the IP address, see if it's out of country. We'll look at how they answer the question, is your house listed on the market or is it not? And based on that, we know something about, is it more likely to be a motivated seller or not? And then we conditionally report to Google that a lead happened. And if somebody fills those things out wrong, to the client, they still get the lead, right? It's still a lead generated because, those still can have value in some way or another. But we wouldn't tell Google that it's a qualified lead.
We wouldn't give Google the thumbs up.
Right. There's no thumbs up. Right.
Oh, attaboy. Like, give me more of these. No, we don't do that.
Yeah. Google's just like Pavlov's dog, you give them a treat, eventually, like, you ring the bell and it's gonna salivate. And you spank it after it gets you a bad lead, and it might stop getting you bad leads, right? This is like I know it's technically like a technology company, but it behaves.
Well, you give it carrot and stick. Hey, here's a carrot, good job. Here's a stick, bad job, over and over again, and eventually it only gives you what you want.
Yeah, what most people end up doing is kind of analogous to having a cold caller, and just every time you get a lead from the cold caller, just roll in with it, whatever it is, instead of the idea of going back to the cold caller and saying, like, I know you said this was a lead, but this one really wasn't a lead, like, for this reason. Or this other one, this call that I heard you just like drop the phone on and say, like, I don't want to pursue this person. That was actually a really good lead. Why'd you do that? Right? Yeah. It's giving that
Those
feedback.
Those are the most stressful ones.
Yeah, seriously. It's
giving a bad lead. Okay, fine. Yeah. But like, hey, why'd you hang up on that guy?
Well, I feel the same way about like investors focus so much on like the leads and how bad they are, but they focus so little on all the leads they should have gotten that they didn't get. Like I feel the same way for like landing page conversion rates. It's like no investor that we work with seems to care about their landing page conversion rate. Meanwhile, I'm like, you realize like 4 of the clicks that you pay for don't turn into anything. And then one in 5 of them it actually turns into a lead. I'm more concerned about the 4 that didn't turn into a lead than I am with the fact that this 1 in 5 was retail or something. But it's
I think that's a marketing perspective.
Sure.
Right. Because that's something like I have my own marketing coach, and that's one of the things he talks about is like, you guys are so focused on like how to get this from like 17% to 19%. What happened to the other 80%?
Sure. And it'll never be 100%.
It'll never be 100.
You can't. But there's leaks in the bucket. Some are bigger than others, right?
And but we're so focused, like, if we said this word instead of that word, we use this color instead of that color. But like psychologically, what's missing from this page that got 5 or 10% not to opt in?
Yeah.
Right. So like, what's missing versus like, how can we change this?
Yeah, it totally makes sense. But yeah, by doing all these things I'm talking about, we did this industry survey, and probably the thing I'm most proud about is the average Bateman Collective client that filled out the survey had half the number of leads per contract in PPC compared to the average company in their PPC campaigns.
So let's talk about that. All right. So what prompted you to do this industry survey?
So honestly, I'll use this as an illustration for what I talked about before about like good people. So you know Mark Stubler. I think he was on the podcast. Yeah. So Mark Stubler and I went down to Puerto Rico, and we were helping out Jerry Norton with something. He had an event down there. We were recording some content. And if you've ever been there in Jerry's like sketchy hotel, like we were sitting in that like sketchy hotel lobby at the end of this thing. And it's like 11 o'clock at night, and we're just kind of talking about nerd stuff because Mark and I are like that. Right. And I'm like, Mark, you should see some of this data I got. This is such cool data. So I start pulling this stuff up, and he sees like some of these insights that we're able to drive from this. And so he looks at me and he's like, Brandon, I want you to tell me exactly what you were doing when you thought about this, when you got this idea. And I thought about it for a second, and I was like, Mark, this isn't my idea. I didn't think about this. I actually had nothing to do with it actually even happening. Someone else had the idea. This is the marketing person on my team. He had the idea. He pulled together all the resources to make it happen. He built the software to deliver it. And now we're at a point where somebody can go onto this website. They can fill out some information about their business, and we'll deliver a full customized report to them showing how their business differs from the average business that filled out the survey. And it's really, really powerful. But the spirit of it, like why he wanted to do this, it it comes down to a couple things. One, the data that we got through that survey is strategically collected so that we can do better marketing for our clients. So we learned a lot of things, this data, which helps us optimize. So that's one thing. And then two, it's just a good value add for the industry. We're like the data people in the industry. So it's a good way for us to like on brand provide value to more investors. And for me, the reason I'm passionate about it is because the way that most investors know how their performance is based on somebody that they talk to at a bar at a mastermind. And they're like, oh, your PPC cost per lead is $200. Well, mine's $400. I must be really bad at PPC. That's probably what's going on. And they don't see the whole picture. They don't understand it. And they get one data point and they like over leverage on that data point versus what we're doing here is we're aggregating a lot of that data so we can kind of smooth it out and get a good picture and just a glance of a lot of investors and what's going on with them. It's kind of like, if you think about it, it's a lot of the benefit that people get from a mastermind, but it's just delivered in a completely different way. Now, I'm a huge proponent of masterminds. I'll support them because there's lots of other great things that you get from masterminds, but a huge piece of it is understanding where you stand compared to the average company that's something like you, because where your numbers look different than everybody else's numbers might be evidence of where you're weak or where you're strong.
So say, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Okay. So someone from your team came up with the idea. Still with you?
Yeah. Well, actually, soon, no.
Well, hopefully he doesn't find out from this. Okay. So, all right. So we have the idea.
Yeah.
It's not ever enough just to have the idea, right? We got to execute it.
Sure.
How difficult was it to execute this plan?
I mean, it's pretty difficult because the objective that we had was that the data is actually really clean. And I found 101 ways to do this with AI where the numbers just don't add up at the end of the day. And like,
you guys bad at math, by the way. I don't know if you saw me post about that.
I did actually, yeah. Yeah, sometimes it's a little bit rough. And analysis of
addition. Data. It drives me crazy that it hallucinates in addition. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, so it's not AI. It's like all just like built in this software, but the software we ended up using causes like an extreme amount of like painstaking manual work to make it work and stuff. So it was a heavy lift, but I think it's worth it in the end,
of course,
because it's one of those things. Like, I don't know if you believe. I mean, it's a fact. You can, if you don't believe in it, then that's on you. The theory of constraints for business, which is the idea that like we all have a bottleneck in our business, which by the way is usually you, but numerically there's also this bottleneck. And if you solve that one bottleneck, then the business will grow until it reaches its next constraint. Yeah, you will find a new bottleneck as you grow. But turns out, no matter who you are, no matter how good you think you're doing, there's some reason your business isn't performing at double the rate that it is right now. And whatever that reason is, that's your bottleneck, right? So that's kind of what this was built around. Is I personally believe that entrepreneurs are really, really good problem solvers. I think you're a good problem solver. I think I'm a pretty good problem solver. You give me a problem, I will like beat that problem to death and I will find a way to fix it. The problem, ironically, is that sometimes we don't solve the right problem. Sometimes we don't solve the root of the problem, right? So what happens is not usually that an entrepreneur is just trying to solve a problem over and over and over again, and they just keep on failing. It's usually that they think they solve the problem, and then that doesn't actually solve the root problem, and then the problem comes back, right? So that's the whole
incremental gain,
or it's an incremental gain, right? So that's the theory, the concept behind this is let's identify the biggest constraint in the business. We could do that through comparison of numbers, and then we have a better idea of what the actual problem to solve is, and then we can unlock more growth than we would with just focusing on whatever we want to focus on, which I'm guilty of, or whatever you're excited about. I'm guilty of that, but there's a better way.
Yeah, and I'm asking this selfishly because I'm planning on doing the same exact thing, right? Just in our own tool, right? Like we have the data in there. Like here's people, here are the leads, here's the follow up, here are the sales calls, what's the conversion rate? Like we're going to start tracking like conversion ratios all across the board where everyone, we can just have it done automatically, like on a monthly basis or daily basis in our system. So everyone can see how they compare.
Sure. Yeah, that's awesome. Like a ranking.
Yeah. Oh, we're going to have rankings.
Yeah. So that's cool.
The best way to get investors to compete is let them know they're not first.
Sure. Sure. Super fair.
Yeah. And so, okay. So you reach out, like this is like a email campaign. You're just texting your clients. Like, how do you get people to volunteer their data? Like, best I've seen in this is like Robert Wensley. He got everyone to agree to just upload their buyers list.
Yeah, which is pretty impressive. I'll admit. Yeah, it was just a game of us promoting it, and it's a super simple thing where I basically explain, and you can see this. We'll throw a link in the description where someone can go and fill this out for themselves. But you'll see a video on the page that just kind of explains like what this is, and really at the end of the day, I mean, it's Simon. I think it's Simon Sinek who basically says that people, above anything else, they will do business with people that believe the same things as them.
Yeah.
Even more important than the other aspects of
Right.
how you do business. Like that's what we've always been big about.
Mm-hmm.
Like you see the video, it's all just talking about like, why do we believe this is important? And you know what? If you don't see the value in that, then it's like, it's pretty clear. And if you do, then you probably really do, right? And you could be someone listening
really
to this where it resonates and you totally get it. And if so, like you're the kind of person we want as a client. So that's why we do this kind of thing for you. And if not, then that's okay too.
So we talked about things that surprise you. For example, cold calling, very low on the budget and very low in ROI. So what was it like top 3-5 takeaways after completing this industry report?
Oh, top 3 to 5 takeaways. There's a number of takeaways that are pretty interesting. We basically got like the P&L numbers for each of the investors, which was just fascinating to see how it breaks out. I already told you like the fact that on average investors are spending 35% of their budget on marketing, and wholesalers 39%.
Yeah,
even higher.
It surprises me. It doesn't surprise me. It's a lot larger than it's supposed to be.
Yeah, because everybody talks about 4 or 5x is kind of what they're targeting, and they're not quite there on average.
Depending on what you look at, which philosophy, which book you read, right? 15 to 25%. We typically at marketing should be 15 to 25% of your budget, but not investors. I don't know a lot of investors where it's 25. It's usually 30, 35%.
Yeah. That totally makes sense. But here's the difference between a typical business and investors is normally you have a cost of goods sold, and investors don't really have a cost of goods sold. Like you're looking at me funky. Well, let's just say you make a wholesale fee. So normally, let's just say investing was like a bit of a different business. Well, normally you would make that $22,000 on average fee. And then you would have to spend like some portion of that on delivering the product, just like I have to do. I have to have my team that's actually like out there delivering the product. And I would take off that $22,000, a good chunk of it for that, which means the amount that I can put towards the marketing is less versus wholesalers. Basically, your like cost of goods sold is essentially like transaction coordination.
Well, I count commission. I always counted commission as COGS.
Sure. Okay. And you could say that, but to that point, I would like in my business, I would also pay commission. Like most businesses would also pay commission.
Right, but I always put commissions in COGS.
Sure. And you can like you could build the financial models like that. I guess what I'm saying is it's not that you don't have cost of goods sold, because you could say those things are cost of goods sold. It's that at the very least the cost of goods sold is significantly lower than the average business. Right. Because you don't actually have to deliver a product.
Right. There's no physical warehousing, there's no accounts receivables. It's just straight money came in. That's it. There's no money came in, and then we had to pay for the delivery. We had to pay the contractor. None of that stuff. It's just money came in.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just naturally going to, because you look at a typical business, they're going to spend 20% on that cost of goods sold, and they're going to spend 10% on marketing, right? And you look for an investor, they might spend the 20% from cost of goods sold and the 10% on marketing, just on marketing, right? And that's where you get your 30% from. Because the other interesting thing is the margins in the industry were decent.
Incredibly high.
Yeah, they ended up above 30% on average across the survey. That's not fully right, based on the idea that there's also a lot of like owner operator acquisitions, dispositions, like everything imaginable in the business.
That they're not accounting for.
I don't think like I can tell you, I had a time in my business where my margins looked fantastic
because you weren't paying yourself on the books.
Yeah, or I wasn't paying myself. I wasn't paying myself what I should have been paying myself on the books. And if the IRS is listening to this, then ignore that.
Simple, right? Like an owner operator, you don't pay yourself the 10% acquisition and the 5% disposition, whatever your figures are, right? You just say, "Oh man, I made this much per deal," and that's the reason why like your profitability always goes down.
Sure. Yeah.
Because now you actually have to pay people.
Yeah. And one of these times was after I went on your podcast for the first time, and I got like so many leads. It was ridiculous. And my company was so small. Like it wasn't really built to handle it. So, I'd have people showing up on my calendar, and they'd be showing up to this meeting at like 9:30 at night that they booked 6 weeks in advance. And they're like, "I thought your calendar was just broken." It's like, no, it's actually just booked out 6 weeks, and I actually just meet with people at 9:30 at night because that's what I did. Now,
That's what it took.
What would I have to pay someone to do that? Probably a lot of money. I ended up replacing myself like with probably 9 or 10 people in that thing. Like right now we're at a point where we have like the number of client facing people we have on the team is like 7 or 8. And when we had half the number of clients we had now, it was just me doing that job. So we literally have hired like 4 people for me. And I was also running the rest of the business at the same time. So my margins were fantastic. And also I wasn't doing as good of a job as we can do when we actually have the right people in the right seats and stuff like that. And that if you look at my replacement cost, there was probably like over $1 million a year to like push myself out of like those seats. But it was worth it for our clients and it was worth it for us as a company.
Absolutely.
So that's like the asterisk with the margins. But as the companies got larger, the margins shrank down a little bit.
Sure.
But overall margins were good. Another thing that was really insightful is deal spreads by exit. So I ended up doing this analysis of looking at how deal spreads change based on the median home price in the market. And what I found is that the average wholesale fee in a market is roughly 6% of the median home price in that market minus $2,700. So there's just simple back of napkin math that you could do, kind of comparing your fee to what fits the line best across our clients. The other thing that was really interesting is that the elasticity of the spread based on home prices was higher for wholesales than it was for flips. So what I mean by that is with wholesale, if you're in a market that has a low median home price, your wholesale fee was small. As you got to these markets that had really high median home prices, the wholesale fee got larger.
I see.
For flips, it was basically in those small markets, still pretty large fees. In those bigger markets, actually similar. It was not super elastic based on the home price.
I see.
Wholesale actually ended up dead in between those two lines, where it was a little elastic, but not nearly as elastic as wholesale, right? So the insight I took from that is, at least based on that data, it seems to suggest that if you're in a market where the median home price is higher, you can get away with wholesaling. But when you get into these like really low median home price markets, sometimes there's a lot more money in other exits compared to what there is in wholesaling. So I thought that was fascinating too.
It's very fascinating. Good to know.
Yeah, it's good information to know. And then the last thing I would say that was really insightful is just comparing all the marketing channels. And I can tell you, I generally compare marketing channels. I think there's 4 things that matter about a marketing channel, but there's 2 that are maybe a little bit more important than the other ones. And those 2 are, what kind of lead quality does it get you, and what kind of ROI does it get you? Because as you and I talked about with cold call, it better be cheap because the lead quality is really bad, right? So are we willing to accept a bad lead quality if the ROI is really high? Yeah. Are we willing to accept bad lead quality if the ROI is really low? Probably not, right? Or a channel that has killer lead quality. Like, I'll give you an extreme example. Let's just say, like, I give you leads and I promise you 100% of them convert. Like, they're already converted, right? Maybe I already talked to them. It's already a done deal.
Just go in there and get the contract signed.
Yeah. What percentage of that revenue are you willing to pay for that lead? Like, probably really, really high.
I'd say 80%. If I know like this is going to close, like this is guaranteed revenue.
Yeah. You'd pay like 80%. What is it? 8%? Like a 1 point something return. Like
1.25 ROI.
Yeah.
0.25%.
Yeah.
1.25. Yeah.
Yeah. 1.25x, right? If I told you can get 1.25x on your cold call, what would you say? Like, that's going to put me out of business, right? So if the lead quality is better, we're willing to pay more. We're willing to accept a lower return on investment. And actually, I was able to model across the company. So I modeled out their profit margin compared to their average leads per contract across their marketing channels, and found that correlation absolutely true. That companies that have more inbound channels are able to operate at a higher margin with ultimately a lower return on investment in the marketing because their operational expense was smaller.
Right.
So anyways, that's kind of the 2 ways I would compare it. And it was interesting to see how the different channels played out. TV was actually one of our lower return on investment inbound channels, but it was the best lead quality, ironically, which sort of makes sense because it's a lot of friction for someone to get from a TV commercial to actually calling you. Like, they have to remember that phone number, write it down, or they got to like Google you or something. It's not like a super easy call to action.
Yeah.
After TV was PPC with Bateman Collective. It was the next highest lead quality. After that was PPC in general, which was actually significantly worse. Pay per lead and direct mail all had about a similar number of leads per contract. The thing is, PPC was actually a low performing channel from an ROI standpoint. It was like 1 point something return on investment on average for the industry across people who reported it, versus direct mail and PPL were higher. And then as we go towards the lower lead quality channels, cold call and text were both in the like 50 plus leads per contract range. Cold call was that 2.25x that I talked about. Cold text was like 4x. So significantly better than cold call was. Again, I don't know if lawsuits are part of their marketing spend or not, or the risk that they're taking, the liability. It's not super scalable anymore. All kinds of reasons not to love cold text, despite how it did pretty well in the survey.
Right.
But that's kind of what we learned generally about marketing channels, which I thought was pretty fascinating overall, just to see how they're comparing for investors.
It's interesting, very interesting information, or at least for you and me.
Again, if you're not a nerd, maybe this is just really boring stuff for you.
But yeah, so we'll put a link in the description for you guys to go click on it so that you guys can get access to it. You're gonna have to participate, right?
Yep, you participate, you submit your numbers, and then we will send you a personalized report that shows your numbers next to other companies' numbers, so it's easy for you to identify where you're doing well and where you're doing poorly.
Yeah, and there's no such thing as like bad information. It's just information and what you do with it.
100%. Yeah. It's like I've had a number of situations recently in my business where like I've heard some bad news. And then I think about it after, and I'm like, I feel bad about this bad news. And then I realized, like, before I heard it, it was still true. Usually it's stuff that's like been a problem for like a year and I just found out about it.
Right.
And now that I know about it, that's actually the good news. Like now I can actually fix this problem. I didn't know about this problem before, but for some reason, like finding out about it feels like the painful part.
Well, I mean, I think of like a worst case scenario, right? Like if you were to find out your spouse has been cheating on you, like, would you rather not have known?
Sure. That's a very fair point.
Right? Like it's an awful scenario, but like.
Yeah, that Andy guy that got caught in the Jumbotron, like, are you trying to say that his wife should be grateful, Steve?
Ignorance is not bliss, I don't believe, in those situations.
I think ignorance is bliss. Should it be or not is a different question, but I think it often is.
Okay, fine. Ignorance is bliss, but would you choose that? Would you willfully, like, you given the choice?
It's interesting when you even think about that, because there's like there were some like thought experiments done where I can't remember where this came from, but they basically someone would ask people like they've done this in monkeys, like they can actually like trigger like the bliss part of the brain, and like make someone like feel bliss, and so they ask like humans like, well, do you want me to do that? And it's such an interesting thing because like most of what we do is like we're just kind of chasing this good feeling. But if you ask somebody like, okay, so I could just hook you up to this machine for the rest of your life and you'll just feel blissful forever. Do you want that? And the answer is generally no.
Yeah.
I don't want that because it's not actually what you
suffering
chase.
Part of the journey.
Sure.
And then even like, what was it? It's not a documentary, right? I mean, The Matrix is like purely fiction, but like they talked about like the humans rejected it because like they were always happy. They couldn't stay in that machine.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Okay, so then we talked about the data. And let's talk about, did we miss anything as far as like using AI to double your lead flow? I've got some big news, and you'll want to hear all of this because I'm going to give you the best bonus ever at the end of this video. You all know that I've been providing sales training for 6 years now, and I've had the opportunity to train hundreds of the best teams in the country and thousands of individuals as well. And they've all had wild success along the way, some of which you've even seen on this podcast. You also know Ian Ross, who has been coaching alongside me now for over 2 years. He's the biggest sales geek ever, and he's been training business owners and individual contributors ever since he started working here. He even runs the Close More Sales podcast. But we had a problem. There was a lot of confusion. What is it exactly that we sell here? Is it Disruptors Training? Is it Steve Training? Or is it Close More Sales Training? It's none of those. It is objection-proof selling. Ian runs objection-proof selling for business owners and individuals. I run objection-proof selling for teams where I coach their entire team. And to celebrate the rebrand, I want to give you something that I never would have thought been possible until recently. We've been training this AI bot for over a year now to score all of our sales calls internally. Every call we run, we have the bot review the call to Ian and mine exact standards for sales. We run every one of our team members' calls through the same exact AI bot. And now we're giving it to you for free. This bot will review your calls based on dozens and dozens of metrics. It will tell you what you did well, what you can do better, again, by the standards of the objection-proof selling formula. And if you want to use our bot for free, just head over to our website, objectionproof.ai. Again, objectionproof.ai. I want to emphasize here, you're getting access to our bot, which allows you to get better at sales for free so that you can make even more money now without having to spend another dollar. Go check it out now.
Really, what I said about more data, using it better is the big thing. And I feel like I've been like standing on top of this like giant soapbox with a megaphone about this for like 5 years, and still like nobody does it except for us. We see our competitors like try to do it sometimes, and then they just like miss like critical pieces that make it work. But it's,
I mean, if I started a PPC company, I'd do exactly what you said. It makes total sense to me.
It does make sense. And here's the thing. So Google's actually, like I already told you, like the background of bid strategies and how that all went. Google's moving more this direction. If you're following PPC news, you probably know that they announced AI Max recently. AI Max is a new type of campaign where they're moving towards keyword list campaigns. Think about like what the concept of keyword list campaigns means. It means you have this machine where it's trying to generate leads for you that are the 2% of sellers that are actually motivated sellers. Yet you can't tell it what you want to target and what you don't want to target. How are you going to work in that kind of game? And then you just have to have that modern strategy of
elaborate on that. Like, I don't understand what that means.
So like keywordless advertising or
so keyword list, right? For me, it's just like, here are the keywords that we want, right? Like here's a keyword, like here's a campaign, here are all the keywords I want in that campaign, right? So, but like for them to do it, what does it mean for Google to pick the keyword list?
So it means that their system decides what you target. Based on what you say your goal is.
So here's what I want, and they're going to come up with a keyword list.
Yeah, and it doesn't even function based on keywords. It just functions based on
intent,
which is actually a really important piece of it when Google's moving more towards AI as well. And search queries don't look like they used to, right? Think of how different you use like a large language model compared to how you use a search engine.
Google anymore.
Yeah. I still like fact check with Google because I'm a little scared of the crazy stuff that ChatGPT comes up with. But I guess what I'm saying is the way that you search there is really different. Like you're not going to type into Google like please tell me this or something, right? You're just going to search.
The way you interact with it.
Yeah, it's way different, right? So because the way that people are searching is changing, keywords get even harder because now we're going to have prompts that are significantly more words. And like your keyword could fall in someone's 1,000-word prompt and not actually be super relevant just because like they had data somewhere that said that. So the idea is that Google's getting better at predicting who's your customer, who's not your customer. And in order for that to work, you have to feed it that data about who your customer is and who your customer isn't.
Right.
And then to get it to work really, really well, you need to have more data than everybody else does about those things. And this is where the gap between the companies that are doing this on the highest level and the companies that are doing this on the lower level is kind of widening as Google's going more and more that direction. And now you still can do it the other way. But I can tell you the strategy that we're using is already working better today and it's future-proof. So that's the biggest difference.
So are you seeing benefits right now with AI Max?
So AI Max itself is pretty new in testing. I think it was like less than a month ago that it tested or that Google launched it. And we have to get use our relationship with Google to get beta tests for our clients individually.
Yeah.
So to say that it's like good or not would be hard. We have some tests going on. I've seen some early data. The data I've seen has been negative, but it's been the kind of thing that is like fixable in early stage.
Yeah.
Right. So I can't comment on it too much, except all I can say is that we have to zoom out and look beyond just today and what's happening right now and realize like the agenda that Google has. And AI Max is like a really, really clear sign of where they're wanting to go. And right now it's like, oh, you know what? You can use this if you want to opt into this. And eventually it'll be, give me your website and we'll send you traffic. And that's it.
I use Google Suite. That's the workplace one. And they keep upgrading it. And like, do you want Gemini? Like, no, I don't want Gemini. Do you want Gemini? No. Do you want Gemini? No. And then at the end, it's like, hey, you're taking Gemini and you're paying more per user. Right?
They're going to have their way eventually.
So like, I think when I started using Google Suite, it was like $750 per user per month, right? And then
I know it's $5 for me. I don't even want to know what it is now.
Yeah. So, well, I'm telling you, it's 16 and change per user.
Yeah, it's more. It's a lot more
per month, and that we get to use their AI tool, which I don't want.
Yeah.
Right. Like I haven't used it in Google Docs. I have not used it in Google Sheets. I'm not using it in emails. Right. It's I Google something and now it's like giving me like whatever, you know. I was like, I didn't want that. Right.
Yeah.
It's in your face. And I'm talking about like Google and like restaurants. This is not like using Google. I was like, I don't use Google anymore.
Yeah.
And the other thing too is like the Facebook, like Zuckerberg has said the same thing, right? It's like, we don't want you to go in there and like create your own campaigns and this and that. We want you to just tell us what's your goal, and then we'll create the ads for you.
Yeah, it's a different game. Yeah, I saw a commercial from Salesforce where it said, if AI is the Wild West, does that mean that data is the new gold? And I thought it was insightful because yes, I think is the answer to that. Like that's what it comes down to. Like if you have more data to find the right people, then you can win that game.
Right. So yeah, I think that's the direction we're going. And another thing is, again, like we hear more and more people talking about like, so and so is looking to sell their grandma's looking to sell her house, and then Susie. Susie's not a modern name. Let's see, what's a modern name? You know, whatever. Like
something spelled really weird with like multiple.
Well, Sophia and Olivia. That seems to be the most common names of like all my kids' friends, right? So Sophia jumps on a computer and goes to ChatGPT, like sell my house for cash or whatever, and then they get some information and then they pass it along. Like they call it, and then like my grandma wants to sell her house for cash. But more and more is coming through large language models, whether it's ChatGPT or Claude or Grok or whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I haven't done any research into this. For me, that just seems like it's just SEO that's just in ChatGPT. Like ChatGPT is not creating its own thing. It's just scraping what's on the internet.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's just search engine optimization showing up in ChatGPT. Unless I'm crazy.
You're like 90% right.
Okay.
There's like some things that are a little different. Like an example is YouTube's pretty important if you want to show up in a language model, because YouTube's like the place where a lot of language models are getting like their training data, right?
Oh, really?
Because it's like one of the biggest open source, not really like owned by anyone sources of information about things, right? So like there's little things like that where like maybe a language model wouldn't find you somewhere else. But you're absolutely right that a lot of the same signals that are giving trust for SEO are going right into language models. Like we have a fair number of leads that come to us and say, well, ChatGPT said you're the best. It's like, okay. I don't know where exactly you got that from, but like it sure knows a lot about my company when I like.
Well, it's just kind of like, if you remember Siri, right? You used to scrape from Yelp, right? If you want to do well in Siri, we just had to do well in Yelp.
Yeah. And a lot of the signals are the same, right? Because you think, what is Google trying to do when it gives information? It wants to find the most authoritative, relevant result.
It used to.
It's still care. Do you think Google doesn't care about that anymore?
I don't think it gives a crap about the user experience anymore. Right? Like, because I think okay. So you look at our space. So-and-so promotes this company. So-and-so promotes that company. Are they promoting that company because they think it's the best company? Or are they promoting that company because they get paid by affiliates?
Sure.
Right? Like, does this influencer actually care about me, the user? Or does the influencer care about the affiliate revenue?
Yeah. And that's
you don't know.
That's always,
you don't know.
You don't know.
It's
like, true.
I pride myself on only promoting products that I use, right? To my detriment.
Yeah, you could make more money if you wanted to do it the other way.
Yeah, if I just completely sold my soul, I'd be making way more money in affiliates, right?
Yeah.
And so with Google, I don't think they care about the user experience. I think they used to care about the user experience. I think now they care about like plugging you into this Google tool or that Google tool or this or that, right? Like PPC used to be 3 on the top, 10 on the side. They were all yellow backgrounds.
Yeah.
You knew it was paid ad.
Now you need like a magnifying glass to figure out if it's a paid ad or not. Yeah. So I'm with you, although I don't think it's 100% that way, right? Because if that was true, then Google would say, well, you'll get better SEO results if you spend with us on paid ads. And it's not really true. It doesn't work that way.
That's not true. Correct.
But do they care about the money? Yeah. I mean, a good example of this is in PPC, they care about quality score. So quality score is...
But do they care about the quality score because of the user experience or because they wanted you to spend as much money as possible?
I think quality score is them showing that they care equally about the things. So I recently did a study across a bunch of data that we had, and we broke out our clients' results by quality score, which is interesting analysis that I've never done before. And what we found is the higher the quality score, actually, the cheaper the cost per contract across those clients. Mostly because cost per click went significantly down. And if you think of like how Google does that, they're basically saying if you have a higher quality score, that to us means that there's a better user experience, right? Because they're looking at the landing page experience, they're looking at the ad relevance, they're looking at the expected CTR. The expected CTR is kind of one that they care about more for them than the user. But the other two are super for the user. So what they do is they will actually charge. So if you advertise on Google and you have a bad user experience that you're creating for somebody on Google, they will prioritize getting money over that. Right? So they will say, you know what, if you're willing to pay us enough money, we'll still show your ad.
Well, they will though, right? Like if I have a 5 quality score and you have an 8 quality score, they'll show my ad if I'm willing to spend enough.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where like, do they prioritize the money? Yes, because if your quality score is lower, will they still show you your ad? Absolutely, but you've got to pay more money than I do.
Right. So my point is that
the fact that they actually make you pay more money than I do, or that they allow me to pay less money because my quality score is better, means that like they're actually accepting less revenue from me.
They're rewarding you
because I create a better user experience.
Right. So that you can spend more money there profitably.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that'll definitely.
Right. In the long run, it's like Brandon will spend more money because he gets a better ROI.
100%. It goes to their bottom line eventually, right?
Yeah.
Even user experience goes to the bottom line eventually. Where like if they're prioritizing user experience at least a little bit, then hopefully people don't stop using Google.
Yeah,
that's the goal.
Yeah, like as long as you can spend whatever they can do to get you to spend more money, I think is their priority.
Yeah, they used to have like they started with their motto or whatever they call it, like "Don't be evil," and then they took that away.
Yeah. They just got rid of the first word because it was constraining the.
It's hard to put on a bumper sticker if it's "Don't be evil," but "Be evil" is just easier.
It's easier. It's only 6 characters and a space in between.
Yeah.
So all right. So then we talked about that. Let's see what else was there. Anything else we haven't touched on? Because like I wanted to really hit on like what's changed and what people need to pay attention to. Right. And as far as digital marketing goes, have we covered everything?
We've covered a lot of stuff. I mean, we could always go super deep. Yeah. Honestly, everybody's always pretending like everything's changing super fast. I'd say the content we recorded a year ago about all the nitty gritty of PPC, I think it's all still really true. The only thing I'd add some additional information on is I spent a little time like on my way here kind of thinking about like how I feel empathy for the average investor who doesn't know what to do about their PPC. And it's not working for whatever reason. I mean, how many people do you know who you've heard say like PPC is not working for me and I'm spending too much money on it and the cost per deal is too high and the ROI is too low and the leads are horrible and like every possible thing. And it's true for a lot of marketing channels too. And it's hard because you just don't know like everything about the channel. You don't know how it works. And I've created all this content to try to like help bridge that gap a little bit. But the reality is like still if somebody wants to con you, they can con you. More likely than not. Just like I could be conned into a real estate investment probably. Because even though I'm like in this industry, I still might not know like someone who really knows what they're talking about from someone that doesn't. So I thought a little bit about like how do you make these kinds of decisions? And I came up with what I think is important to me.
Sure. So what's important?
Have you ever heard of like the competence and character mindset for employees?
Maybe. Let's go ahead and jump into it.
The idea being competence and character are like the two things you want to look for in an employee.
Okay.
I think Simon Sinek has a video on this where he talks about like trust versus competence.
For the SEAL.
Yeah.
Who do you want? You want the guy that you can trust or the guy that's good at his job?
Yeah. And I can tell you like in my company, if somebody's not good at their job, we make a plan to get them good at their job. If we can't trust somebody, they're gone immediately. Right? It's the only times that we like fire somebody.
Like the CEO.
Really, really quick.
Like Strummer CEO.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I think he got fired, didn't he?
resigned.
Yeah.
Who knows if he would have stuck around if he didn't resign, but he resigned.
Yeah, save face, I guess.
Yeah.
So anyways, both those things are really important though.
Mhm.
So on the idea of competence, right? I feel like this is what most people are just looking for, but they get misled a lot. So what we started using internally is we have this like idea of like we're looking for level 3 marketers. So to explain to you what level 3 marketers are, level 1 marketer basically says something like this: like, I don't know everything. I am a student of marketing. Everywhere around me are opportunities to learn, and I'm going to become the best in the world at this. Right? That's how people start. Right? A level 2 marketer says like, I get the best results. I get consistent results. I get better results than everybody else. And then a level 3 marketer says, I am a student of marketing. All around me are opportunities to learn. I'm going to become the best marketer in the world. Right? And if you think like, what's the difference between a level 1 and a level 3 marketer? It's just track record. But who's the person that convinces people to work with them? It's the level 2 marketer usually, right? Because there's like, I don't know if you know the concept of like, the more you know you don't know. And if that's not true, then something might be really wrong.
Right.
There's this quote from Henry Ford that I like. He says, many a man who's supposed to have 10 years experience really has 1 year's experience repeated 10 times.
Right.
And I think that's the level 2 marketer.
So what does the level 2 marketer say again?
I get the best results. I get the most consistent results. I know exactly what I'm doing.
Okay. So this is the Dunning-Kruger curve, right?
Tell me more about that. I've heard like the phrase before, but I couldn't tell you exactly what it is.
So Dunning-Kruger, right? So if you draw a chart, right? Your confidence and skill level, right, over time is like I think it's confidence and skill, right? So initially you get some results and you get like this confidence and like you think you're king of the world. And really what happened is that you haven't experienced adversity yet. And then this is when you become a guru, by the way, right? And you crash, right? Your skill improves, but your confidence crashes. And then now after it crashes, now it starts to gain somewhat linearly, right? So you have like this exponential growth, and that's when you think you know everything. And that's when you start selling courses. You start, people start paying you money because you're loud about the success you've had. When in reality, you don't know anything. You've had a taste of success, but you haven't had a taste of failure. And you have all this irrational confidence, which is like a good thing to have to some degree, but you also need to have some humility, and you don't have that humility yet. Yeah,
I think the real difference, like you're explaining exactly what I'm getting at.
And another way, the other way we look at that also, just real quick before we transition back, is that the top where like this is where you get the Lambo, right, and everything else is we call that's when you're on the top of Mount Stupid.
That's really funny. I haven't heard that exact example. Yeah, I think the way that I think about it is a level 1 marketer has humility, a level 2 marketer has confidence, a level 3 marketer has confidence and humility, and that's the difference, right? And it's so easy to think that like one versus like confidence and humility. It's easy to think of them as like mutually exclusive concepts, but they're not really. Like you could be really confident and really humble at the same time, right? So that's something I really believe. And when I see people like making decisions where they end up coming to us with a ton of wasted money, it's usually the level 2 marketers that you have to be really worried about, right?
It's convinced them.
That convinced them, right? So and sometimes we also see people in our sales process get turned off when they're like, well, what's my cost per lead going to be? And we're like, I don't know. Probably like somewhere in this range. It depends on these different factors. And they go to someone else and the other person's like, oh, it'll be this. Does that mean that person knows more than we do?
Yeah.
It might just mean that they know less, right? So that's one important thing to think about.
So it's like, looking at our lives, right? Like when I was 15, I knew everything, right? And
sure. And, a lot of 15-year-olds know everything.
Right? And I got my daughter who's 14, and we had a conversation. I was like, look, I believe that you believe you know everything. I was once like you.
That's so funny.
You're just going to have to have a little faith that I've been on this planet 30 years longer than you, and I know a few things that you haven't experienced yet.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So level 2 could just be the teenager.
Sure, absolutely. And there's lots of those like teenage marketers. And like, look, the reality is we all act different in every, like I have like moments of the day where I'm a level 2 marketer and I have moments of the day where I'm a level 3 marketer.
Yeah.
But that's the biggest thing I would look for. And then the other part is character. And, we were talking about capitalism before, this wonderful thing of capitalism, which is like not a perfect system, but by far the best we have. Yeah.
Better than the alternatives.
Unless you want to fight me on that, I'm not trying to get too political here, but pretty decent system, pretty good invisible hand, making sure things work out.
Yeah.
So all is well with capitalism. Here's where it's not always perfect. Is sometimes businesses can do things that, like, if capitalism worked perfectly, then everything I can do to be more profitable as a company is also something that benefits my employees and also something that benefits my clients. It doesn't always work that way, right? And so as an agency, just a little bit of insight into like the agency model, how it works. Agencies grow 2 ways. Number 1, you get more clients. Number 2, you keep those clients longer. The
third way.
What's that?
Charge them more.
Sure. Okay. So yeah, number 1 I could say is like get more like revenue.
Okay, one's get more clients. Number 2 is charge them more.
Sure.
Number 3 is keep them longer.
Yeah, I guess the way we measure it, like how much you charge them is part of the clients, because we measure like the MRR. Anyways,
Sorry.
Yeah,
just being difficult.
Super fair. So you could look at it that way. But either way you look at it, there's these different things that you do to create value, right?
Yeah.
And this is something that I have to be like extremely clear about in our company meetings, where like one thing I just shared in our last company meeting is our retention's been awesome recently, right? Retention's not the goal. Retention is the way that we measure the goal. The goal is that we provide an impact to our clients. Retention is the number that we're going to measure that's going to tell us, are we doing a good job of doing that or not?
That makes sense.
It's super basic, right? Because we're trying to get around the ideas of capitalism. But where I see things start to go sideways is where companies start to do things that are actually not in the best interest of their clients, but they are in the best interest of the company, right? So if we were to like artificially get better retention through doing something that's not actually better for our clients, that's where things start to go south. And there's all kinds of different examples of that. Like one example is like set it and forget it agencies, where you just kind of like I can tell you the easiest part of a marketing campaign is getting it set up. The really hard part is doing whatever it takes to make it work after it's set up and all that tweaking and all that stuff. Could my company be more profitable today if we just like set up all our clients and then we just kind of let them run on autopilot until they eventually leave? Totally. Oh, especially with SEO, where it's going to take like a year to get a measurable result anyways. We could just do nothing and just collect the revenue for the year.
That's how clients feel.
And agencies do that. Yeah. And sometimes clients feel that way, even if we are doing lots of stuff. So
regardless of what you do, that's how clients feel.
It's on us to demonstrate the value, right? That's an us thing. Another example of this is, and I think I've shared this before with you, is like, I'm really not cool with when agencies don't give access to the accounts to their clients. It's one of those things. It's like you telling me that you're going to do like an outsourced sales product for me. Like, oh, just give me all of your leads and I'll do the sales. Except, no, you're not allowed in your CRM. And if you ever leave me, I'm going to take your CRM and all the data with me, and you're going to be left with nothing. If you got me to like agree to that because I'm stupid, you would have me basically in like a chokehold to continue working with your company to do the sales, because like over time, all that data that you're generating in the CRM is really, really valuable data. And it just, and I wouldn't know. So I see people like getting in those kinds of relationships with agencies where they don't realize like a year down the road, 2 years down the road, like what they signed, and they don't realize they're not allowed to log into their CRM. They're not allowed to keep the data in their CRM. So if they ever make a change, then it's going to be really like detrimental to them.
Yeah. So for a minute, we were doing sales agency stuff. We stopped. But that was our competitive advantage. It was crazy to me. I was like, you and I will be in a CRM together.
Transparency. Who would have thought?
See everything that we do. You can log in at any time. You can listen to every call.
Yeah, because how do I know? Like, because people say like you'll know by the numbers, but like, okay, if you're closing well, but I see that you no-showed like 50% of the meetings, still not okay, right? And I should be able to see that.
Well, and I got complaints like, hey, like I jumped on it, listened to the call, like this call sucks. Like, sorry, like we'll listen to the call now, and then we'll make sure whatever, right? But like, it was crazy to me that when I dipped my toe in this world, I'm not in this world anymore, was that nobody else believed in transparency. Like sales agencies was just like feed into the CRM, like legit black box. Put the lead in. We'll let you know the revenue.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane.
Yeah, that's actually crazy because I've never worked with a company like that. So I didn't. I used that example as like an outlandish thing that like probably nobody does this, but like it would be as bad as this. But that's crazy. That's actually a thing.
Oh yeah, like
that happens.
We were getting opportunities because people. I was like, why should we use you? It's like, well, we'll share the CRM logins. It's yours.
Yeah. And there's like multiple elements of it. Like one thing is if they were to ever leave, you can't like just hold that over them, right? Because that's like. You're like, CRM is like one of the most valuable things that you're generating. The data in there. Yeah, it's really, really valuable. The other component is transparency, like you were saying. Like, and I think sometimes people are afraid that they'll be held accountable. But I think when you create that really good, transparent relationship, like we make mistakes for our clients, and our clients know that we make mistakes for them from time to time, and that's okay because we have an open dialogue. We have an open conversation about it. There's a like level of mistakes that's acceptable. I've never been able to remove human error completely from every single thing that we do. And I think that transparency is really important.
Yeah.
So that's like another example. I mean, I could think of infinite examples. Another really big one that we keep on seeing pop up for like 5 years is guarantees. I think you want to be like kind of careful about guarantees. It's one of those things where it can go one of two ways. So a lot of the companies, so the reason companies do this is they say, well, Steve, you're worried that you might not get results. So I'm going to guarantee to you that you're going to get this result. The really tough thing is a lot of the things that contribute to that result happening are out of their control, usually, right? So can they even really guarantee that? And it goes one of two ways. The first way is they're like, often I'll have like fine print, right? So you'll think like, this is solid, right? Like the result is guaranteed. I must get the result. But really there's fine print that like all these things need to happen. Like you have to have evidence that you've done all these things and all this stuff in order for the guarantee to work, right? So I sell you in on the idea that there's going to be a guarantee and then I never actually fulfill on that thing. Or at most, if I fulfill on that thing, you're still going to be out all your ad spend. Yeah. And I'm basically knocking off 15% off the top if you don't get the results you want. Or the other way that it goes is maybe I do actually honor those guarantees. But you have to think like, okay, so if one agency is actually honoring guarantees and they have these guarantees and another agency isn't, how is it possible that one agency can do that? It's one of those things like, have you ever heard somebody say that a listing agent is aligned with the seller because if they sell the house for more, they'll make a bigger commission?
I'm filming this video for the man himself, Mr. Ian Ross. The guy crushes. The guy's the best person in sales I've ever seen. I've invested elsewhere and I haven't got the same results. I've gone from being a seller, making 5K a month, to being a hybrid role, making 11K a month, to now be 4 months down the line from 5K to on a closing opportunity, inbound, full calendar, with the best opportunity, the best offer in my space. OTE is around 20K a month from month 2. So I've gone from 5K to 20K. If that's not a return on your investment, I don't know what is, man. If you're a salesperson and you don't invest in sales training, you're going to get left behind because your job is to be better at sales. And sales training directly makes you more money.
If you like what you just heard and would like similar types of success, text CLOSE to 33777. And we'll see if you qualify to join Objection-Proof Selling. We're taking good sales reps and we're making them objection-proof.
Yeah, it's definitely a misnomer, or not misnomer. It's major fallacy.
Sure. I expected you to say that. Like 1% of me was like, Steve's going to think that's true, but no, it's not true, right? Because like I can like,
it's not true at all.
I might have to work 300% harder to sell your house for 5% more. And am I going to do that? No, I'm just going to find like 5 other houses that I can.
I'm just going to get the commission.
Yeah, I'm just going to get the commission. I'm going to get 90% of the commission with 20% of the work, and I'm just going to move on and do more.
I've heard realtors say it. It's like, no, that's not true. Like that has not been my experience. Like get the contract signed, done, move on. They're not fighting for that extra $10,000 for the homeowner.
No, they're not. But how much does that mean to the homeowner? It could mean a ton, right? That's like, especially compared to their equity, they could double how much they're getting paid out based on the agent working 300% harder, but they're not. The agent's not going to get paid more. So it's one of those kinds of things. Like where the guarantee kind of sounds good, but like when you really think about it, how is the company doing that? Well, what happens is usually the way that those companies work is they have like a mediocre kind of product, and then they sell it at a premium price. So then they can refund a good portion of their clients.
Interesting.
And they can actually make it. They can actually make it through that, right? Because that's the only way to make it possible. And the way those performance-based marketing agencies typically work is kind of like the realtor that promises to you that like, I guarantee you I'm going to sell the house. And I mean, think there's a local company here, right? That like guarantees that it'll be sold in 72 hours.
Well, they're not so big anymore. now
That's true. The market shifted a little bit, but like, how can you do that? You just sell it for less. Is that in the best interest of everybody?
Yeah.
No, but does it sound better? Yes. So I would say like those are the big things you want to avoid is, and I would add one fourth one, and that is like, again, this is something that sounds one way and is the other way. Just avoid cheap, like at all costs, like the cheap agency. It's just, you have to think like, how are they going to, like, I went to an agency mastermind actually last week. It's the first one I ever been to. You know what I learned is that on average, my team members are paid double what team members are typically paid across all these different industries, right? And like the level of work we're doing, I learned it's not just like really good in the real estate investment space, like it's really good in like the agency space in general across verticals.
Yeah.
And a lot of that just comes down to like being able to pay people more, right? So if we were charging half as much, could we continue to deliver the same thing? Like we couldn't, right? Like something has to give for that to be true. And it's kind of like, if you think of the agency as responsible for managing the ad spend and the management fee, it's a mismanagement of spend to put a lot towards the ad spend, but not actually properly manage that. So anyways, I would say cheap, guarantees, not having access to your account, and transparency. And what was the other one? Like set it and forget it. Like those are like the big things from a character standpoint, where if you see an agency that's doing that, it's one of those things where I would say just be careful about that. And what you want to do is just work with people that you trust. And it's really important that they're competent. And all those things could be true, like even if they're not competent, but like those are examples of things that like look better for the agency's bottom line, but they don't actually work better for everybody involved.
Yeah. It's funny because, I've done a lot of business with the guarantees. Your home sold guarantee or I'll buy it. Maybe a lot of money because I bought a lot of houses. And then the other one, in the last few years, is I had our coaching programs. Like, let's just offer a guarantee, right? Like, Alex from Moses says offer a guarantee. Or fine, we'll offer a guarantee.
Sure.
Right? And so we offered a guarantee. And we had a fine print. You know what the fine print was on the mentorship? It's like, I guarantee you'll make an extra $100,000 in the next 6 months, right? And it was $25,000 to work with me for the year. And the guarantee, and the requirement was you had to make it to 50 out of the 52 scheduled one-on-ones, right? What was the one-on-ones? Group coaching calls. You had to make it to 50 out of 52. Like, you have to be intentional, right? The second thing is the homework that I assigned last week, you have to get done by the next one. Those are the only two requirements. But if you do everything I tell you to do for 50 weeks out of the year,
sure,
there's no way you don't make an extra $100,000 in the next 12 months. Right. So like I put that in place. And it's like, yeah, if they don't make an extra $100,000, I'll give them the $25,000 back. If they did everything I told them to do and it didn't work, like, here, take your money back. Yeah. But that was the guarantee.
And to be clear, I'm not like against guarantees in general. I think it's different for a coaching company than it is for an agency, because the coaching company largely like you're running those weekly calls anyways. If there's more people showing up, it's not, you're not incurring massive extra costs like per person.
Right.
If you look at an agency, if they're running right, they actually should be incurring massive cost per client, right? So they should be going out on a limb in order to make that possible. And what you want is not like another way to think of an agency that's running on performance is like, imagine I'm just like a contractor and I come to you and I say, well, Steve, you have your wholesaling company, just send me the leads and I'll close them for you. And I just get paid based on what I closed. Are we aligned? Yes, until I find like 20 other companies and I just start cherry picking leads. Right. That's basically what agencies do, is they start cherry picking clients where like, because sometimes you work for a client and you'll do everything and you'll go really, really hard on trying to get results, and the results are lackluster. And sometimes with very minimal effort, they take off, and with more effort, they could do better, but it's good enough for the client. Right. So that's where, the agencies just usually get in this space of basically being like that salesperson who's taking leads from anybody and just cherry picking what he wants to close. And yes, he's only getting paid on performance, but for that company, that's not necessarily the best way to get the highest percentage of your leads closed.
Yeah. So we talked about it a lot. So I'm hoping that everyone here got a ton of value, and then we'll put the link for the industry report in the description. Any last thoughts you want to leave everybody with?
Last thoughts. Again, I have like tons of empathy for people out there who are like struggling with these kinds of things. definitely reach out to us if you have concerns, or if you're just not able to make these channels work for whatever reason. And I can't emphasize enough that we will do like whatever we can to help give you clarity, and not just be like that level 2 marketer that just kind of like, you call a PPC company and you're like, are we, I feel like my results aren't good. No, they're definitely not good. We definitely would do better. Like, we try not to be that way. We try to be like really objective about it. We'll look into your account. We'll help you understand what's going on. We'll be curious about it. We'll be humble about it. Like, that's what's really important to me, is that like that's the experience that we're providing to people. And if based on that they choose to work with us, awesome. And if they don't, then that's fine too. Yeah. But that's the impact we want to have.
Awesome. If someone wants to connect with Bateman Collective, what's the best way?
So we'll throw a link in the description. The easiest way is batemancollective.com/disruptors. If you go there, that's like a direct line right to an expert on my team. So you can schedule a call. Usually we'll have availability like same week to have a call with you, and we can talk in depth about all your numbers. And I'd love to, share here publicly all the fun stuff that we could talk about. But the reality is, so much of it is like specific to the things that we might know about your market and to the performance that you've had historically in your campaign and that type of thing. And it's better if we help you with that directly.
So batemancollective.com/disruptors. It'll be within a week with your team, not 6 weeks at 9:30 with Brandon.
Yes. It's a much better experience than it once was. Like I was like the worst part of the experience for clients. And then the final thing here, if you do want to learn more about PPC, we'll throw a link there as well. We just recently did a training, and this is like, screen sharing, kind of showing some of the stuff that we're doing about what's working for us well in PPC. If anybody's interested in diving into that, and they just maybe you're doing it yourself or something, like I want to give that as a resource too.
Awesome. Very cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Steve.
Appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next time.
Shout out to Steve Train. Jump on the Steve Train. Disruptors.